Yeah, look at here. Yeah, I'm on. Start talking. Hey, gang, how you doing? I'm your guest speaker for tonight. How y'all doing? Oh yeah, by the way, if those of you who don't know me, I'm Bill Martin. And I just happened to be here, so we thought, well, I'll just do tonight. We'll give Tim a night off. Everybody have a good day. Well, I won't keep you any longer. So Tim is here. So for tonight, here's Timmy.
Thanks, Bill. Hey, you got a hi, Bill, here. Some people are saying hi to you. Hey, thanks, Bill. All right. Bill was here, and he wanted to say hello to you guys while he was dropping some stuff off. So he met me here at the church, and we were comparing notes. So, all right. Well, let's see here. Who all's in the house tonight? I only got 15 of you here. We're going to let a few more people jump in. So, yeah. I see that Michelle Carey, my seventh favorite person, is here. And I've got I got a picture here. What's this? I got a text from Michelle that says, what? I can't get on help. Are you here? You're here now, Michelle, right? I'm assuming that you said hi. I'm assuming that means that you're here. So, all right. So as promised, I do have some pictures of Batman and Robin, the real Batman and Robin. And we'll be unveiling that here in just a moment. All right. So, how is everybody doing tonight? Everybody having a good day? This nice rainy night we're having? Super awesome. So, all right. All right, good deal. Let's see here. Michelle's giving us a what up. Crystal Dove, how you doing? Hi, Laura. Hi, Paula. Joyce, good evening, Bill. And Bill's on his way home, so he'll probably be jumping on here in a minute. Daryl's here. Sherry's here. Hello, Eric. Hi, Christina. Suze is here. Candy Dickey, Angie Myers in the house. Hey, DW, what's happening? Audra Sutton, how you doing? Hi, Lisa. Who else we got here? Dave Jessen, hi there. Miriam Lynch, Eric Gurman's here. Amy's giving away virtual hugs for everyone, and I hear those are Corona safe. So good job. Hi, Christina, Angie. I think I've given everybody a what up here. Congratulations to Daryl Lau for being the first comment tonight. Nicely done. Hi, Kim Kill. Hi, Scott and Jan. Scott and Jan in the house. That's right. Mr. Williams says hello. William is 5 years old and going on 30. And so we're glad the William is around. All right. So without further ado, I got this picture. Let's see here. Michelle, if you remember how many years ago this picture was taken, I don't. But tell me, have you ever seen a more intimidating duo than these two guys? I mean, if you're thinking about committing a crime and you saw these two coming at you, would you be terrified? I mean, be legitimately honest here. It's pretty scary, don't you think? Check these two out, the dynamic duo. Yeah, see if we can get that. Oh, dropping my phone. I guess I don't need that. All right, so somebody tell me, what do you think of these two? Yes, the dynamic duo, Cool Hand Luke, you know it. This was taken at a preschool. Oh, jeez. This was taken at a preschool a Halloween event where Michelle asked me 14 times if I was coming as Batman because I was dressed in normal clothes. And I would say yes. And yeah, Michelle, I think it was around 2015. That's probably about right. So it was a few years back. And but this is us as Batman and Robin. Let's see here. I think I got another one. You look at these two. Super, super duper scary. Gosh, see if we can get that. Yeah, look at them. Super intimidating. And what happens when they get into fights and people are threatening them, man? This is what happens to you right there. It's a punch and you're out. You're down for the count. So that's right, the dynamic duo. Defending truth, justice, in the American way to all people everywhere. There we are. That's probably my favorite one. We look the most dramatic in that one. Of course, Michelle, get a good look at Michelle. She's got kind of a pouty face going on there, but there it is. Dynamic duo. And it's pictures like that is why Michelle is my 7th favorite person. So, all right, Michelle, let's see. 2015, and they look awesome. I knew Michelle would have a comment for that. That is awesome. So, cool. And yes, whenever we would punch somebody, Cool Hand Luke, those zowie it would just be huge. I mean, we would punch with such force that the dramatic words of that punch would just flash everywhere. It was fantastic. So, all right. Well, speaking of heroes, hi Cheryl. Speaking of heroes, we're looking at a hero here tonight. We're looking at Joseph. Now, you know, we were talking last night about some of the movies and things that were made about Joseph's story. And there was one on Netflix. I watched about the first, I don't know, maybe half hour of it. It's a musical. The music's not so great, but the story is pretty cool. It's called Joseph, the King of Dreams. And it's interesting that we were looking at the people who starred in it. And Ben Affleck, it's back from the year 2000. Ben Affleck was Joseph, and Mark Hamill's in it too. So I'm like, you're telling me that Batman and Luke Skywalker are in the story of Joseph? Of course I'm in. Of course I'm in. So that's what it was. That's right. Michelle and I worked together like the dynamic duo. It was pretty amazing. We never knew what was going on, and we never knew what was going to happen, but it was always awesome. So, okay, cool. So I thought, yeah, if, Luke Skywalker and Batman are in the story of Joseph, yes, I'm in. So we were watching a little bit of it, and it was pretty close to the story, I thought. And I'm looking forward to getting on and watching the rest of it sometime. So, okay. How many of you? Let's see, I'm 45. How many of you are from roughly my generation? How many of you in the chat right now are roughly? How many of you are Gen Xers? How many Gen Xers we got in the house tonight? Gen Xers. Michelle, you're probably too young to be a Gen Xer. Anybody else? Lisa, you may be. Who's a Gen Xer here tonight? Joe Sutton, are you a Gen Xer? Eric, you probably are. Cool Hand Luke probably is. Yeah. So all the Gen Xers know the movie reference I'm about to make. And it's not Joseph. Okay, all right. DW, yeah, you're probably Gen Xer. Audra's a Gen Xer. All you Gen Xers in the house, you remember Ace Ventura? Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. You don't necessarily have to be a Gen Xer to know that movie. How many of you know Ace Ventura, Pet Detective? All right. How many of you remember that gag that Jim Carrey would do as Ace Ventura, where he would tell this huge story by taking a great big deep breath and telling the entire story before he ran out? All righty then, yeah. How many of you remember that? He'd take a big deep breath and he would tell this entire story. He would tell that entire story without, taking a breath. Anybody remember that? Okay, a few of you remember that. All right, I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to try to do that right now with the story of Joseph. Are you ready? I'm going to get oxygened up here. Ready? All right, we're going to see if I can make it. Ready? So Joseph was a spoiled brat who his brothers hated him. They threw him into a cistern. They sold him into slavery. The Ishmaelite slave traders took him to Egypt, sold him to Potiphar. Potiphar was very important. Potiphar put Joseph in charge of the entire household that he had. He ended up getting in trouble with his wife. Wife made an accusation. Then Joseph went on to prison. He spent time in prison. He continued to flourish while he was in prison. He finally gets out by talking to Pharaoh, and then he is able to be put in charge of stopping the famine after he interprets Pharaoh's dream. How was that? I think I got it all. Tell me if I missed anything. I did not take a breath, Cool Hand Luke. You guys wouldn't know if I did. So, all right. I think I made it, though. I think I got all the details in there. So, all right. So now, and I did that because we got to keep moving here. Thank you, Christina. Appreciate the respect. All right. So now we are in Genesis 43. So in Genesis 43, we put Bill back on. I barely 10 minutes in. You're already clamoring for Bill Martin to come back. Whatever. You guys, no appreciation at all. I tell you what. Oh my gosh. I'm telling you one thing. Okay. So here we are, Genesis 43. And I will be breathing throughout this entire thing. Hey, Ken Belcher. How you doing, Ken Belcher? Good to see you. Lisa's here somewhere. I appreciate you coming out. So, all right, Genesis 43. Now, and so Joseph is now ready. He's already dealing with his brothers who've come back to try to buy food. Okay. But the famine continued to ravage the land of Canaan. Okay, so the famine, as we well know, is going to go on for 7 years. I don't remember that we were given a timetable as to how long the famine had been going on before the brothers came. But it was going on for long enough they ran out of food, so it was going on at least that long. So we don't know how long it's been going on, so we don't know how long it's going to continue, but it's going to be 7 years in total. Okay, so the brothers who had, remember, left Simeon in prison in Egypt had gone back home because Joseph, whom they didn't know who he was, said, bring Benjamin here or forget it. And Simeon is rotting in jail waiting for this. And Jacob would not allow them to take Benjamin back to save Simeon, which is a pretty cold thing to do. All right. So when the grain they brought from Egypt was almost gone. So how long was that? I'm assuming it was a significant amount of time because they had to eat. And I'm assuming we're not making like 7-course meals here, but they had eaten everything that they had. So now they're all getting hungry and they're running into problems. So Jacob says, you're going to have to go back and buy more. Now, somebody said this last night. I don't remember who it was. But somebody said this last night. Won't they eventually have to buy more? Well, we know they do. Now, understand that Jacob and the brothers were not in on, they obviously were not there when Joseph interpreted the dream. So they may think that this is going to pass after one season. But we know, because we were a part of what was going on at Pharaoh's place, we know that it's going to go on. But the brothers and Jacob had no way to know that. So they thought they had enough food to get through. It turns out that was wrong. So after they'd eaten everything, Dad says, look, we're desperate. You're going to have to go back. Verse 3. But Judah said, so one of the brothers said, the man was serious when he warned us. You won't see my face again unless your brother is with you. Okay, Dad. We're going to have to make a decision here. Either Benjamin goes back or we all starve. Forget about, what's his name? What was the brother's name that we left back? Simeon. forget about Simeon. Apparently, he drew the short straw, and that's going to be his problem. Forget about him. But we're going to starve, and now we need to do something. Because now the threat is, if everybody else starves, Benjamin's going to starve with him. So, okay, so Judah says, I ain't going back without Benjamin. I ain't going back because the guy said that would be a poor idea. And I'm going to believe him. So we ain't going back without him. So if you want more food, if you want Benjamin and the rest of us to eat, you're going to have to let him go with us. Again, totally forgetting about Simeon, who's still in prison back in Egypt. I cannot overstate how cold this is. This is harsh. So, okay. So Judah says, look, I'll go back and buy food, but I ain't going without Benjamin, period. I ain't going back without him. Okay, verse 5. But if you don't let Benjamin go, we won't go either. Remember, the man said, you won't see my face again unless your brother is with you. Okay? Again. Well, let me read the next verse and I'm going to make my point. Verse 6. Why are you so cruel to me? Jacob moaned. Why did you tell him you had another brother? Okay, there's a whole lot I want to say about this. But one of the points I want to make before I go on is, what does this imply Jacob wanted to have happen? By him saying this, why are you guys so cruel? By him saying this, what does Jacob want to have happen? What is Jacob looking for these older sons to do? What does he want them to do? Does he have any intention, at least at this point, does he have any intention of allowing Benjamin to go to Egypt with them? Do you see any indication in anything Jacob says that leads you to believe that his intention was to send Benjamin back to Egypt as was commanded? Anything here that make you believe that? Anything here in all this stuff that would lead you to believe that Jacob is willing to allow Benjamin to go back up to this point? Anybody else want to chime in on this one? See anything here? Teresa, Kuhan, Luke say no. Randy says no. Eric says no. Bill Har says no. Dave says no. I say no. There's nothing here to indicate. So what that means is Cheryl's right. Jacob wanted the brothers to basically go on a suicide mission. I don't know what else to call it. Christina, that's exactly right. He's putting all of them at risk to go back to ask for this food without Benjamin when they were clearly told, don't you dare show up back here without him. Okay, Angie and Amy, you got it. No, there's nothing here to indicate anything that says Jacob is going to let Jacob is going to let Benjamin go. Nothing. Period. Nada. Forget it. So he's already sacrificed Simeon. Essentially, he's going to get Simeon back, but at this point, they gave him up for dead, I suppose. And now he's like, well, let's see if can we get a couple more of you go down and maybe they'll forget who you are. Maybe we'll take a chance. All that is just so we can protect Benjamin. So they can bring food back for Benjamin. What did Dad learn? Nothing. He's still playing favorites to an almost cartoonish villain standard. This is terrible. This is terrible. And so, okay, and now let's go on. Verse 6. Because this, as bad as I'm making this sound, and I'm not embellishing this at all. It's right there. Go look. As bad as this sounds, it's about to get worse. Verse 6. Why are you so cruel to me? Now, when you read this at first read, you think he's saying, why were you so cruel to me? You think he means, why are you so cruel to expect me to send Benjamin back with you? Okay, that essentially is what it seems like. Let me read the rest of the sentence, because that's actually not what he's talking about. Verse 6. Why are you so cruel to me? Jacob moaned. Why did you tell him you have another brother? Why did you tell him that? Why would you do such a thing? Why did you bring Benjamin up at all? He's the one all you morons are supposed to be protecting. He's the one we're doing this for. I sent you down there all to buy food because I didn't care what happened to any of you. I was hoping one of you'd make it back with something to eat for Benjamin. I mean, friends, this guy is not winning Father of the Year by any standard you could set up. So he's saying, I can't believe you brought him up. Why did you tell him? Jacob sounds a little self-centered. Cool Hand Luke, you are correct. I mean, this is terrible. Honestly, this is cartoon villain levels of evil here. Just crazy. So why'd you tell him? Okay. And now in the midst of this just mind-blowing favoritism, Eric says, in the midst of this mind-blowing favoritism, here's the brother's response. Which I shouldn't be laughing at this, but it is kind of funny. Why did you tell me I had another brother? Verse 7. The man kept asking us questions about our family. They replied, he asked, is your father still alive? Do you have another brother? So we answered his questions. How could we know? He would say, bring your brother down here. Friends, that is a legitimate question. How could we know? How could we know that's what he was going to say? I mean, what are the odds that that's what he was going to say? Yes, Teresa, no question about it. It's no wonder these boys have issues. They have no positive male mentor at all. None of them, including the older brothers, including Joseph, including Benjamin. None of them have a positive male role model. Jacob has dropped the ball. And that's right, Suze. He blames them for everything. And it is just a disaster. I mean, this is like a Jerry Springer family going on here. I mean, it's ridiculous. So, but I love the brothers when they're all like, Dad, how could we know? How could we know he was going to say that? You know, which, I mean, I'm like on the brother side on that one. How could they possibly know that's what he would say? But, okay. So, you know, how could we know it? And even dad has to say, okay, yeah, you probably got me on that because how could you know that? I mean, he thinks they're all morons anyways. I mean, how could he expect them to figure that out? So, okay. So how could we know he would say that? Verse 8. Judah said to his father. Now remember, Reuben already said last week, you know, let me take him back now. Let me go now. And if I don't bring him back, you can kill both of my kids, you know, both your grandsons, who apparently he doesn't care about that much. I mean, I'm talking about Jacob, doesn't care about his grandsons that much. And still, Jacob is like, nope. We're just going to let Simeon go. We're going to cut our losses and move on. So Judah said to his father. Now, Judah's one, I mean, who legitimately comes across as almost like the voice of reason here. Okay, so Judah said to his father, verse 8, Judah said to his father, send the boy with me and we'll be on our way. Otherwise, we will all, but you and our little ones and Benjamin. I mean, you're going to have to throw that in there or dad's still going to be like, forget it. You and our little ones. I personally guarantee his safety. You may hold me responsible if I don't bring him back to you. Let me bear the blame forever. Okay? Jacob knows it really, I mean, he has literally nothing to lose at this point. The situation has become so dire that, I mean, starvation is a real possibility, a real threat that they're facing. And he's like, you know, you can let us go and we can possibly die, or we can just all stay here and absolutely die. I mean, that's our two options, and they're both awful, but that's what we got. And so Judah finally says, you might as well let him go with us because what do we got to lose? He ain't going to live anyways. We don't find something to eat. So, and then Judah says something next that is sad. it's sad. Verse 10. If we hadn't wasted all this time, we could have gone and returned twice by now. That tells you how long they let Simeon rot in jail. I'm sorry, check that. That's how long Jacob allowed Simeon to rot in jail. Jacob is the same guy that cheated. I'm sorry, Scott, who? Who did Jacob cheat? Oh, his brother, Esau. Yeah, Esau. Yeah, Jacob. Yeah, Jacob's been a cheater his whole life, from even before birth. You remember Esau was trying to get born first, and Jacob pushed his way out. Even from the womb, Jacob is known as that. And actually, I can remember when I was an undergraduate at Ohio Northern, we had a class on this, and Jacob's name actually means he who grabs, he who takes. And if you remember the story, Jacob, he was basically stealing everything his whole life. He was stealing the birthright from Esau. He was stealing, all kind of stuff, and really made a pain out of himself because everything he got involved in, he was really hard on. So okay, so we've let Simeon rot in jail all this time. We've eaten now almost all of our food. So let's go do this. Now, and then as sad as what Judah just said, what Jacob says is even sadder. Verse 11. So their father Jacob finally said to them, if it can't be avoided, Friends, what is something that you describe as something that can't be avoided? What's death and taxes, two things that can't be avoided. Everybody's going to pay them and everybody's going to do it. That's just how it's going to be. So if it took 30 days for Joseph to get to Egypt with the slave traders, it probably takes a month to get there and a month to get back. Yeah, so think about how long we're talking about there, Suze. It's a month down and a month back. The month down, a month back, that's 4 months. They allowed Simeon to rot in jail. 4 months from now is going to be August. Now, that doesn't seem like a long time until you're rotting in prison for that long. It could be a long time. So the only reason that Jacob agrees to send Benjamin as he was instructed was because he has come down to the point where he has no other choice. It's just so sad. The thought to save Simeon never enters the equation. That's never a part of the consideration on behalf of Jacob. That is awful. So, all right. So pack your bags with the best products of our land. Take them down to this man as gifts. Here's what he tells them to take: balm, honey, gum, aromatic resin, pistachio nuts, and almonds. Now, you think, well, they're in the middle of a famine, and how are they taking stuff when they basically have nothing left? Well, here's what I'll tell you. Balm, gum, and resin, you can't eat. Gum, you can't swallow. Honey, you can eat, but it's not exactly nutritional. And pistachio nuts and almonds, while delicious and a great kind of garnish on things, there's not enough. You can't eat. You can't live on almonds and pistachio nuts alone. I don't care what the low carb dieters tell you. You can't live on those alone. So they've got to have some other stuff to eat. So basically, if they're saying take the best of the land, or the best that we have, and the best that we have is balm, honey, gum, aromatic resin, pistachio nuts, and almonds, if that's the best you got, that's a bad place. And Amy's allergic to them, so she can't even eat them. So that's a bad place to be. So that's the best we got. Tells you just how desperate they're becoming. Okay. Jacob then says, verse 12, also take double the money that was put back in your sacks. It was probably someone's mistake. So They're assuming when they get back there, they're going to say, hey, we came to pay for that stuff we tried to pay for last time and didn't. We truly meant to pay for it, but somehow didn't. So there you go. So they got double the money, and they got all the stuff that they have, basically what they have left, and they're off. So verse 13, then take your brother and go back to the man. The man with apparently no name. Verse 14, may God Almighty give you mercy as you go before the man. Never said that before. Now, in Jacob's defense, and I feel bad defending the guy, but in Jacob's defense, he had no idea the brothers were going to run into this much trouble. Had no idea that was going to happen. So we're going to give Jacob a pass on that one. But him giving a blessing and sending them off, he's finally doing what he should have done in the first place. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped a line. So take double the money, put it back in your sacks. It was probably someone's mistake. Then take your brother and go back to the man. May God Almighty give you mercy as you go before the man, so that he will release Simeon and let Benjamin return. The rest of y'all, good luck. But Simeon, I guess at least we're finally acknowledging the guy's gone. And Benjamin, protect Benjamin at all costs. Okay. But if I must lose my children, so be it. So the men packed up Jacob's gifts and doubled the money and headed off with Benjamin. They finally arrived in Egypt and presented themselves to Joseph. When Joseph saw Benjamin there, he said to the manager of his household, these men will eat with me at noon. Okay. Possibly everybody forgot who they were because remember, they've been gone for at least 4 months, as Sue's pointed out. They've been gone for 4 months. So maybe the rest of the workers had forgotten them. But just like the first time the brothers showed up, nobody got brought in for double interrogation when they were buying food. At the same time, nobody got brought in for a big meal with Joseph either. So yet again, they're singled out. And there you go. So Joseph looks out the window. He sees they're finally back 4 months later. And he tells the one of the workers or whoever, bring them up here. They're going to eat with me today. Okay, so these men will eat with me at noon, take them inside the palace, then go slaughter an animal and prepare a big feast. So the man, whoever Joseph was talking to, so the man did as Joseph told him and took them into Joseph's palace. Now, let's not bother to explain what's about to happen, buddy. Let's just turn the heat up on these guys. So the brothers were terrified. I think that's justified. I think that's a justified response. They were terrified when they saw that they were being taken into Joseph's house. Why wouldn't they be? They have every right to think that they're going to be considered to be thieves, even though we know they aren't. And they really got raked over the coals last time they were there. Now they're being brought up to the big house. That sounds bad in every conceivable way. Taken to Joseph's house. It's because the money someone put in our sacks last time we were here, they said. He plans to pretend that we stole it. They will seize us and make us slaves and take our donkeys. So, okay. So the brothers are like, we need to do something. We need to do something right now. So they're kind of looking things over. Cool Hand Luke, he is absolutely making them sweat. He's absolutely making them a little self-conscious and mildly concerned. So while they're like, hey, come on up here to the big house, and they're all like, oh my gosh, what in the world? So it says, hold up. Before we go, we would like to talk to that guy, the manager. Can we speak to the manager real quick? So the brothers approached the manager of Joseph's household. So he approached the guy in charge. And they spoke to him at the entrance of the palace. So they haven't even really gotten in the door yet. They're kind of at the entrance. And they pull the guy aside. And, yep, full of paranoia, Cool Hand Luke, absolutely. So they're standing at the entrance going, you remember last time when we paid for our stuff and somehow got our money back? We're here to just straighten this little bookkeeping error up. Okay? So here's what they say. Verse 20, sir, look, whenever you're about to have a conversation like this one, you always start with sir. Sir, they said, we came to Egypt once before to buy food. But as we were returning home, we stopped for the night. We opened our sacks. And you're not going to believe this part. All our money was in our sacks. We have no idea how that happened. The exact amount paid was on the top of the sack. Is there any way to say that doesn't sound suspicious? I mean, is there any way to say that doesn't sound like the money just showed up in your bag? You didn't steal it? I mean, man, this is cold. So anyway, so they're like, no, we swear we don't know how it got in there. I have no idea how it got in there. So they even say, here it is. We even brought it back. The exact money. Check the serial numbers or whatever. I mean, yeah. I mean, bringing it back. We don't know how it happened. And he says, we brought back more money to buy more food. And we have no idea how this happened. We are totally blown away by it. I have no clue how to explain this. Now, the house manager, who's probably going, who are you guys? Jacob's sons, whatever. Finally goes, oh, no, hold up. I got it. You guys paid. You're good. So, verse 23, relax. Don't be afraid. The house manager told them, your God, the God of your father, must have put the treasure into your sacks. I know I received your payment. So the brothers are now going, uh-oh. So now we have double the money. All righty then. Thanks a lot. And they're like, well, let's go have lunch, guys. So, all right. I know I received your payment. Then, when he says, hey, look, relax. Oh, and by the way, then they released Simeon and brought him out to them. The Bible just skips right over this part. And said, oh, we brought Simeon back, and they never mentioned that again. I'd like to have a few details there, wouldn't you? And first the brothers are going, oh my word, we got our money back in. Oh, Simeon, we're so glad to see you. And Simeon's like, where you guys been? Where you guys been the last 4 months? I mean, you got anything for me? I mean, you guys said you'd be right back. The heck happened to you for 4 months? I know how long it takes to get there. I've been counting days. So, but we're not giving any of those details. But I can imagine Simeon was like, can I have 5 minutes in the room with these guys so I can pound on them? I mean, that's what I'm thinking. So, so they got no trouble with this allegedly money that appeared back in your bag. And here's your brother back. And now we're just going to go up and have some lunch and everything's hunky-dory. I just don't believe that for a second, but there you go. So, all right. So Simeon is now there back with them. I'm sure he's glad to be out of prison, but he probably still wants to give all of them a wedgie or something for doing this to him. So, all right. So then they released Simeon and brought him out. The manager now led all the brothers, all 11 of them, now with Benjamin. The manager led them into Joseph's palace. He gave them water to wash their feet, which was an Israelite greeting, which should have been an indication to them. This is something an Israelite would have done. This is how a standard greeting in Israelite culture. So gave them water to wash their feet. We even see that a little bit in the New Testament times. Talking about, the Last Supper. There was a famous feet washing incident. So he gave them water to wash their feet, as Israelites would have expected. And so they're basically washing up for dinner, lunch, whatever they're having. And so not only did not only is this like rolling out the red carpet, even for the guy who just got out of jail 5 minutes ago. So they gave him that, and they provided food for their donkeys, feed the animals and everything. Okay. And then it says they were told they would be eating there. So they prepared their gifts for Joseph's arrival at noon. So apparently they're having lunch. So, okay. So now they're all cleaned up, all washed up. Everybody's feeling good. Everybody's looking good. It's been a month-long journey, so everybody's dirty and tired, and they're probably still sweating, wondering what the heck is going on here, Teresa. I'm very sure. So they said, well, let's go ahead and set out the gifts. Let's make these almonds and these pistachio nuts and this resin and stuff. Let's make it look good. So they set it all out for Joseph. Again, not necessarily things Egyptians would have recognized, but certainly something Joseph would have recognized when they were there. So, okay, so verse 26. When Joseph came home, they gave him the gifts that they brought him. Okay, so they're like here, and then they bowed low on the ground before him. After greeting them, he asked, how is your father, the old man you spoke about? Is he still alive? How many people had Joseph seen in 4 months? Or at least, I should say at least 4 months. How many people had he seen? And now suddenly, now again, we know why he does. But why would, they got to be going, oh my, he remembers dad? Does that seem weird that a guy of this prominence from a foreign culture would remember these guys, be able to pick them out of a crowd 4 months later? Don't you think at some point somebody's got to be wondering what the heck is going on here? But that's an extremely personal question to ask. If I went to meet the governor of Ohio, I doubt he would ask about something personal for my life because he don't know me. And, Mike DeWine, he wouldn't be like, hey, Tim, how's the Beetle running? I just don't think he would do that. Even if he knew I drove a Beetle, I don't know that he would think enough to ask a question like that. So for him to go, hey, how's dad? And they're all like, fine, I guess. He's not happy about letting Benjamin come down here, but here we are. Well, maybe they were not the brightest. Maybe they didn't catch on. Maybe I'm reading too far into this, but I really think there's some very interesting and questionable things going on here. All right. So dad's still alive. Yes, they replied. Our father, your servant, is alive and well. They bowed low again, fulfilling the dream that he had back in Genesis 37. Then Joseph looked at his brother Benjamin, the son of his own mother. This is his full brother. They share both of the same parents, Jacob and Rachel. So they share the same parents, and they're very, so this is full brother. Is this your youngest brother, the one you told me about? Joseph asked. May God be gracious to you, my son. Then Joseph hurried from the room because he was overcome with emotion for his brother. He didn't want to cry in front of these guys. But so Joseph takes off, and he's like, I'm going to be right back. Runs to the other room because he's about ready to lose it. And again, after everything Joseph has been through, it's not at all surprising that he's extremely emotional at this point. So he sobs over his brother Benjamin. But in the back of his mind, Joseph knows that Benjamin is, how do I want to say this? Benjamin was Joseph's replacement. So Joseph has and Joseph already knows, well, Benjamin wasn't here with him the first time. Chances are Benjamin's being treated the same way I was treated. And I know how that is better than anybody else. So Joseph knows that dad has really been treasuring him and protecting him and sheltering him and spoiling him and so on and so forth. So, but still he's overwhelmed at the sight of his brother. Okay, so then Joseph hurried from the room because he was overcome with emotion for his brother. He went into his private room where he broke down and wept. Okay. After washing his face, he came back out, and I can imagine the brothers are like, dude, is everything all right? everything good? He came out keeping himself under the control. Then he ordered, bring out the food. My kind of guy right there. Bring out the food. And the waiters served Joseph at his own table, and his brothers were served at a separate table. The Egyptians who ate with Joseph sat at their own table because Egyptians despise Hebrews and refused to eat with them. So they sat at the table of the Hebrew. Apparently Joseph must have went full on Egyptian and sold this because they had no idea. So Joseph, when they were seating, he kind of told them, all right, my boys over here, whatever. Will you guys sit over here? And then he seated them each. He told each of the brothers where to sit. And to their amazement, he seated them according to age. as was the custom in Hebrew culture. Oldest to youngest. And they're all like, wow, that's kind of nice. I mean, that's kind of amazing that he nailed it. I guess we're all looking our age or so. Who knows? But again, no idea. And again, they have no reason to suspect this is Joseph. They think he's dead by now, or who knows what happened to him. So they have no reason to think this is Joseph. But this does have to raise an eyebrow as to what exactly is going on here. That Joseph, or this person, this leader, knows all these things. And then it says Joseph filled their plates with food from his table. So while he's respecting the Egyptian, we don't really like those guys, but he's still feeding. They're still eating the same food, and he's filling their plates with food from from his own table. And he gave Benjamin 5 times as much as he gave the others. Maybe the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I'm not sure how to interpret that, but Benjamin's still getting spoiled. So Joseph filled their plates with food from his own table. He gave Benjamin 5 times as much as he gave the others. So they feasted and they drank freely with him. Everything going well. I wonder if Teresa asked, I wonder if Joseph thought the brothers hated or were jealous of Benjamin as bad as he had been. I am quite sure he wondered that. And because, again, knowing that Dad was probably treating him the same, there was every reason to think that the brothers had treated him the same. Now, I'm sure in the back of his mind, he's hoping that maybe the horrendous experience they had with Joseph would have been something they learned from and wouldn't have repeated that mistake. I mean, I'm sure that's what he was hoping for. And but, Joseph would have no way to know that. So he feasted and drank freely with them. All right, we're gonna put a pin in it right there. That way we can pick up with Genesis 44 tomorrow night. So I got through that one a little quickly tonight. So anyways, so the brothers went through quite a roller coaster tonight. They went from starvation to Dad saying, "No way am I ever gonna let Benjamin go," to Judah saying, "Look, he either goes or we all die, period, because we ain't going without him," to, "Okay, he can go." They go in scared that they're going to be accused of being thieves, to being invited to, the big man's palace to have a meal after the manager said, "No, I got your money, you guys, good." They got their other brother back. Simeon is back. And now they've been served a big meal up there, and Joseph, I mean, at least for the moment, seems to be being nice to them. And so this is quite a thing. Yeah, Cheryl, I speculated on that last night. I wonder if Joseph spoke to Simeon when he was in prison. I wonder that too. But if he did, even if he just went down to spoke with him, even if he didn't, tell him, Simeon would have at least some kind of information to share with the brothers. We're not told that Simeon told them anything. So I don't know. It seems to me like he would have. I mean, it seems to me like as soon as the brothers were gone, he'd have pulled Simeon out and done something with him. And maybe he did. But that detail is not recorded for whatever reason. And I would seem to think that he would, because it seems bad enough to what happened. Leaving him in prison all that time, would be worse. So, all right. Any other questions about Joseph? I do have one more thing I want to talk with you about before I sign off tonight, but I want to talk about where we're going. Anybody else got anything else for Joseph before I move on? Anything else on Joseph, guys? Anything else on Batman and Robin? I'm putting this out there because Teresa was late and I wanted to make sure she got to see this. So this is the dynamic duo from Forest Park from 2015. So Teresa says maybe Simeon had a caretaker like Joseph had been in prison. And maybe he did. I mean, maybe Joseph made sure he got put in a place where he knew he'd be cared for. I mean, again, all that is speculation. We're not told any of that, but there's every reason to think that, speculate that maybe he did do something to take care of them. Thanks, Teresa. Did something to take care of them along the way. So, because it seems, I mean, there's a lot of harsh stuff happening in this story, but this is all about Joseph being put in a situation where a lot of wrongs are going to get righted. So, all right. Here's the question I want to ask you about what we want to do from here. I put the question to you last night about what, if anything, you'd like to study once we're done with Joseph, because we've got. Oh my God. I don't know. We got a couple of days at least left with Joseph, because I don't know that we're going to go over every word of this. Because some of the restoration stuff, I don't know that we need to, and up through Jacob's death, I don't know that we're going to go all that way. So we'll probably finish the story of Joseph through the time that he saves his family. We're going to do that, and then we may stop there and move on. So I asked you last night about some other characters you may want to consider, and we had some good suggestions. We had Samson was one that was thrown out there. Scott and Jan threw out Daniel. Daniel's a great book. Had Aunt Kate. She gave me Martha from the New Testament, and we could spend a couple days with Martha. But I was thinking about it this morning, and one of the people I would really like to yeah, Scott, I got your email. Thanks. One of the people I'd really like a chance to kick around in this study is Job. And the reason I'd like to do Job, if any of you have ever read the book of Job, it's really hard to do a sermon series on Job because of how it's written. It doesn't translate to sermons very well. I mean, because basically when you talk about Job, you have to talk about the whole book. And it's 42 chapters. So the reason that I would like to do Job here is because I can break it down better here than I could in a sermon, because Job just doesn't translate to sermons very well. I've tried through the years. You know, you can get single sermons out of Job. In fact, some of you may remember that our Easter Sunday sermon came from the book of Job about he knows his Redeemer lives, which is a quote from Job. So Job does have some great sermons, but as far as dealing with the whole context and having conversations about that, I'd really, if you guys would be open to it, I would love to take some time and do Job in this setting while we got a little bit of quarantine time left, because hopefully just a little bit of quarantine time left, because I would like to be able to break it down into the various pieces in a discussion format more similar to what we do here. So I'm putting that out there saying, would you guys be okay if we took some time to look at Job when we're done with Daniel, when we're done with Joseph? Because Job's story is so good about the nature of evil in the world and why it exists and why it's here and what it's supposed to do. So I would love to work with Job, but it would be much easier to have a time here to do that than on Sunday morning. So I'm throwing it out there. Okay, so I got a few people on board with Job. We'll talk about that over the next couple of days and see. But I'm really kind of liking the book of Job, because again, it's such a hard book to do sermons from, because the whole, it's not like Joseph, where I can pull out little pieces and talk about them. With Job, you got to talk about really the whole book and the whole context. And it's 40 some chapters, and that's a lot to try to stuff into a sermon. So, all right, I'm seeing some positive things here. So, yeah, I'd like to do Job because I think it could spawn some good discussion. And Joseph's a little hard to discuss because it's more of a history lesson, where Job is more of a theological issue and the existence of evil. And the interesting thing is, there are a lot of scholars who will tell you that the oldest writing we have in the entire Bible comes from the book of Job, even older than some of the passages in Genesis, than the early passages of Genesis, because the story itself is so old. And if you think about it, if you think about the relationship between Adam and Eve and the apple and the garden, and the nature of evil that's discussed in the book of Job, they're actually very similar. So you can see how those things are related. So you guys seem okay with that? We'll kick it around a little bit, and yeah, Amy, you know what's coming. So, but just and see if that's something that we might want to do, because Job is such a fantastic story for so many reasons. So, all right, so be thinking about that. All right, we haven't had a whole lot of interaction tonight. I've let you guys just listen to me talk for a long time. Somebody tell me what's going on. What'd you guys do today? What'd you guys have for supper? Anybody have anything good for supper? I'll tell you what I had. I had an egg salad sandwich and some spaghetti and a piece of angel food cake, and it was super good. So what'd some of you have for supper tonight? Anybody, what'd you have for supper? Going to make you interact here a little bit rather than just listen to my face talk. Michelle Kirian, if you're still here, I want to know what you had for supper tonight, girl. Sugar cream pie. Eric, I'm jealous. Meatloaf and salad. Good, solid choice. Breaded tenderloins. Angie, that's good. Chicken and rice and green beans. Amy, that sounds good. Teresa, you haven't eaten yet. It's 9 o'clock. What the heck is up with that? Oh, s'mores. Oh, you're going to be jealous. Tacos. Nice choice, Michelle. Very good. Yeah, that's a Mexican. Margie and Doug, that's good. No black bean soup, Margie? Paula had hibachi and nailed the rice. Boy, if you're going to have that, you got to nail the rice. So good. Chicken salad and mashed potatoes. Crystal said the girls want ramen noodles. Oh, my word. You didn't feed that to them. I may have to call Children's Services on you, Crystal. Oreos. Michelle, I'm very proud of you. Now, were they regular Oreos or double stuffed Oreos? Because there's only one correct answer to that question. Jan chess, and she won. Jan, hey, everybody give it up for Jan winning her first game of chess tonight. Everybody tell Jan she's awesome. And then she made tenderloins to the victor go to the spoil. That's great. Mexican does sound good, Eric. The black bean soup is gone, Margie. I was glad to assist with that. Michelle says she had her Oreos with milk. You can't have your Oreos with milk. What else would you have them with? Linda Burkhover had leftovers. Could be exciting depending on what they were. Cheryl wants to go to the Millers. I'll give a big amen to that. Ham and fried potatoes and pumpkin cake. Who doesn't want to go to the Millers? Yeah. Let's see. Went to Dayton for pool chemicals. Helped Michelle put the bunk bed together for the boys and not past doing her leg wraps. It was a long day. Wow. Double stuffed. That gets you a fist bump, Michelle. Yes, double stuffed is the correct answer. Nicely done. Now, you get bonus points, though, if they were frozen in the freezer before you ate them. So, all right. Tim Dickey had mac and cheese with ground meat. Vegetarian and me not really into that, but that sounds good. So, what else the rest of y'all have for supper? Anybody else want to jump in this? I want to know if Michelle's Oreos were frozen before she ate them. I feel like I have a need to know this. You guys hear the bell behind me? It means it's 9 o'clock. I got to sign off. So, all right. Well, thanks for interacting here with me a little bit. I need to make this more interactive. I feel like I talk too much. And I realize my face is the only one on the screen, but I want to give you guys a chance to interact. I need to do a better job of that. So we'll work on that. Not frozen. Michelle, seriously? I mean, you were so close on this one. And Sue says, don't forget the garlic bread. I did have some garlic bread. It was quite good. Joyce had a kale salad with hot bacon dressing. You know, I'm a vegetarian and I've never been able to tolerate kale. I just don't like the taste of it. So I know it's supposed to be super healthy and that must be because it tastes so bad, but Joyce, all kind of respect to you on that one. Tim Dickey said they got to be covered with chocolate too. Bonus on the Oreos that they're covered with chocolate and frozen. So, all right. Well, very good. Thanks, Teresa. Whoa, wait, hold up. Tegan did make Oreo cupcakes, cookie and cream cupcakes. I'm starting to feel left out, Michelle. I mean, I'm really feeling abandoned here in this moment. I mean, I showed a picture of us and talked about our history, and now you're making all this stuff, and I haven't had any of it. My feelings are legit hurt. I mean, that cut me deep. So. All right, Joy says it was not the greatest. Yeah, I would suggest passing on the kale. Go straight for the Oreos. They're much better. So, Christina says now frozen Oreos. Christina, you are so welcome for that. You're so welcome for that. And yeah, I suddenly want Oreos too. I haven't had Oreos in a long time. Please don't go away from this tonight. Only remembering that I talked about Oreos. Remember, we actually had content here tonight too. Please don't forget that. So cool. All right. It has come that time in the evening when I got to cut you guys loose and let you guys get ready for bed. So, as always, I should be used to that from you, Michelle, but, whenever you fail, still, I still love you, though. Paula says, I've never had a frozen Oreo. Paula, would recommend them to you. And Eric says, you feel like I want some frozen Oreos, mint Oreos. Man, you guys are savages. I love this. So, all right, great. Well, hey, you guys have an awesome evening. I'm sure in the next 24 hours, y'all are going to have Oreos because I planted that idea with you. And if Michelle is my 7th favorite person, who are the first 6? I cannot disclose that information, Tim. Thank you for asking. But I really feel like we're going to have to put that information behind the paywall. And since I'm giving all this away for free, I'm going to have to make that be a subscriber thing or something. So that besides, if I say Michelle is my 7th favorite person, you all will let me get away with that. But if I list the first 6, the 2 billion people on Earth who are not going to be in those first 6 are going to be like want to burn my house down or something, and I'm not interested in that. So. All right. Yeah, Amy's saying good night. Michelle says, I feel like the spokesperson for Oreos. Michelle, your dream has come true. How many years have you been pining for that? So let's see here. Dave Jessen says good night, Cheryl. Night all. Jack's now going to have Rocky Road ice cream. Joyce Koenig made one comment about kale salad. Everybody's like, heck with that. We want ice cream and Oreos, and we want them now. You guys are fantastic. So Michelle's not in the top 6. Well, had you shared the cupcakes, you might have broken into the top 6, but I'm just saying. So I love you too, Teresa. Good night, Bill Haar. Talk to everybody tomorrow night. Hey, you guys are awesome. I love you all very much. Thank you for sharing your evening with me. Now go wash those hands.